So, as opposed to picking one of the three options, I'm gonna actually hit on all three of those topics. The first question says, "How does a Christian's worldview shape a person's perceptions?" Um, when I read that, I think of myself as a Christian and the perceptions that I feel like that I have in reality when it comes to people, and the perceptions that people get from me when I tell them that I'm a Christian. Because when I tell people that I'm a Christian, they automatically assume that I'm a prude, that I don't know how to have fun, and that you can't swear around me, you can't make jokes, you can't make comments, you have to be very holier than thou almost when you're around me. And those are the perceptions that I know that are common when people are around me, and it's a very frustrating perception, um, because as Christians, we've been taught that we all sin and that we all fall short of the glory of God. And when I think of that, I think of the people that Jesus hung out with, the sinners, the prostitutes, the different people whom Jesus would hang out with today. And I'm not saying that I like to be around people who swear and drink and do things that we're not called to do as Christians. But I find it a very interesting thing when people automatically assume and have that perception that I'm a Christian and I don't know how to have fun. I know that for me, when it comes to that, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've always been a Christian, but I have never actually stopped and not experienced life. I've made my fair share of mistakes, and I look at them as growing pains as a Christian, because I've been able to utilize the mistakes that I've made and use them towards my Christian walk. So, when I think of a Christian's worldview, it depends on the Christian. Because I know Christians who call themselves Christians, but their perceptions on the world are not accurate. And then I know Christians who aren't Christians on the other side of the spectrum, who act as if God chose them to be the next savior of the world. And they judge everyone. And they basically think that they act as if they can't sin and judge anyone who has sinned, anyone who has made a public sin. So that's something that I think really stands out for me is a Christian's perception is very, it can change constantly, especially the world that we're living in. The next question is, what are some of the perceptions someone might have when posting on Facebook? How might their posting differ based on a Christian worldview versus a more secular perception? When I see that, I think of, I have secular friends and I have Christian friends on my Facebook. I mean, that's my life. And I'm marrying a pastor. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I really have. So I know that when I used to post on Facebook before, I really put God as the sole center in my life. I would just post about whatever. I was also young and immature, and so Facebook was like, oh, yay, please talk to me kind of world. But it was also my call for an attention. And the perceptions that somebody might have when posting on Facebook really depends on who they are. From a secular worldview, from a secular point of view, I feel as if that people post whatever they want. And that's But that goes the same way with Christians. We both post the same thing. We post without question. And I'm noticing that more and more with Christians because I know that as Christians, we are under attack, like extremely so, and it's terrifying. So when you're a Christian on Facebook, I feel as if that we are posting more things that are more biblically based, more conservative based, more about the attacks on us as Christians, and secular, a more secular perception is posting about their day-to-day life. And not to say that Christians don't post about their day-to-day life, because we do. But the secular perception sometimes lacks the morals that come about with the Christian perception. At least that's kind of what I think. I mean, it again, like I said, every Christian is a sinner, and so our perceptions on things are different, and it falls back to the heart problem of a Christian, and how intertwined are they really with God and putting God first, or are they intertwined with being a holier perception of themselves and making themselves seem holier than thou because they want to be high up in the Christian church community. So it just really depends how I feel that people post as a Christian or as a secular person. And then the final thing says, give an example of a real life situation, circumstance, and describe a Christian worldview perception and how a secular person would perceive it. I'm just going to go straight with gay marriage. Christians, we are, it's taught in the Bible that, two men are not supposed to love one another, or not supposed to be married, vice versa, women, whatever. And marriage is strictly between a man and a woman. And as a secular worldview, we are attacked and said that, and we're told that we are hating and that we are not tolerant. And that we are basically terrible people for saying marriage is strictly between a man and a woman, and we don't support gay marriage. There's the baker in Oregon who said, I don't want to do the cake for the gay marriage, and now they're being sued. And these are numerous stories again and again where Christians are being under attack. So, we give our free speech, which is given to us in the amendments by our founding fathers, that we are allowed to have our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and not only freedom of religion, but the right to refuse service to people, all of these things. And here we are under attack because we're standing up for something that we don't believe in. But when Christians become under attack, nobody will stand for us. So, secular people automatically view us as just absolutely horrible people, that we are not tolerant and that we're mean and that we hate. And then, but in the Christian world, and you stop and you think about it, we're not being supported at all. We're under attack constantly. I was spit on. I've been spit on by a Muslim before and called a dirty Jew lover. And then was told I was in the wrong when I did nothing to provoke the situation at all, except sat in a spot and said nothing. So, it's a hard world to kind of actually describe this, because I think we both feel under attack. But what's right will be called wrong, and what's wrong will be called right. And that's the world that we're living in. Thank you.